(2013) is the 50th commemoration of the tragic bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in 1963. This year, the city has been trying to find opportunities to look back and reflect on the past, but also think about 50 years forward. I was asked to write a piece for the Alabama Symphony that would do all those things in one piece. So we thought about the 16th Street Baptist Church and trying to be respectful of the history, but also wanted to incorporate just the idea of what happened that day. But we also wanted to make it celebratory of where Birmingham is today, and then very hopeful about where we hope we will be in the future. So when given the task to write this piece about the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church, and particularly about the 4 little girls who were killed in this tragic bombing, I wanted to make sure that I identified just that scene, but also brought us to 2013 and beyond. So the piece that I wrote is titled Here We Are, and it features the girls' choir from 16th Street Baptist Church, Oakwood College Choir, the Aeolians, as well as the Alabama Symphony Orchestra. So the piece was premiered this year, and we were really very excited. With this commission, like I always do, Sibelius is the tool of choice for me, primarily because of its ease of use, but most importantly because I can really realize what my composition is going to sound like when played and look like when published. The other thing that's important to me is the seamless integration of Sibelius and Pro Tools. Oftentimes when I'm doing an orchestral arrangement, I may bring in many virtual instruments from the vast libraries of orchestral sounds I have. And sometimes those will be coupled with a real orchestra, sometimes they may not be. But I'm able to go in and manipulate most of my virtual synths that average listener wouldn't know which one is being used at any given time. I'm just confident, and I have this ease and quickness at which I can go from creating the composition to printing my parts and my scores. And that is the most important thing for me. I have more than 200 scores that are out throughout the nation now that are played on any given night by orchestras that are rented every week. And the last thing I want is some orchestra to call me up and say, Henry, what's wrong with this part? There's a measure missing, or there's an articulation that's on the wrong line. And I never have to worry about that.
Come on, Birmingham, get back up, get up, get up, get up. Peace and favor rest on us. Peace and favor rest upon us.
The Gospel Symphony Celebration is some of the latest work we're doing, combining these genres of classical music and gospel music. And I think that's been one of my fortes, bridging the gap, so as it were, between these different genres of music. With Gospel Symphony Celebration, we've taken a lot of the works of gospel Grammy winner Kurt Carr and Ben Tankard and reorchestrated them for large symphony orchestra, huge gospel choir, and some of these gospel stars. And some of these arrangements, particularly with the orchestra doing the kind of thing that it does, not in the way of accompaniment, because my goal is not ever to have an orchestra there as accompaniment, where it's background to singing. It really is to find a way to balance the styles and the best of what orchestral musicians can do when they play together in this big group with a gospel choir. So when you hear that gospel music, it is not watered down gospel music a la music. It really is a gospel experience with the enhancement of a big orchestral production. So many times from those scores, we will then create choral books that the choirs may have for months on end. We'll create even rhythm tracks that our rhythm section, which really typically are gospel musicians, I usually want to have a gospel rhythm section as opposed to a classical rhythm section, simply because I want it to sound like gospel. So we'll do that, but we have some of the great musicians. So all of this is worked out in the pre-production phase. So as you're listening to these scores and you wonder how that sound is put together, I've had a chance to think about it, sleep on it, rewrite it, reorchestrate it, compare timbres and textures and rhythms, all within the confine of my home office or my UAB office before I go to a concert stage to begin rehearsing. So once again, by the time many of these stars will come together and you hear these big productions, it may sound like a Cecil B. DeMille's kind of epic grand production, but and you wonder, here's one guy on stage, me, with this little stick keeping all these people together. And I am so relying on Sibelius to be the key for that.